Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the
Yerky Boys.
Visser today. This is a big one.
Visser. I hardly even know her. Have we never done that before?
It feels like we must have, but I don't remember doing it.
Yeah, no, I know we've said pow right in the Visser off pod. I don't know if we've said that one on pod.
Have we?
I know I have.
Okay. That must be where I got it.
To myself. I mean, I might have been alone at the time. Yeah, this book was released in October 1999. So same month, according to Zeropedia, as the last numbered book.
Yes. Yeah, this one and the numbered book came out in the same month.
Pretty crazy. Like a week later or what? The same day?
I'm not sure. I don't know. And as we recall, the last book ended with "to be continued" in Visser.
Yeah, it would suck if you accidentally read this first.
Whoops.
We need someone to write in who remembers when these books came out. Like, was there a set? Was it the first week of the month every month? Was there a day of the week? I don't even think there's a day of the week books come out. It's not like movies or comic books have a day now. It's just kind of whenever the publisher throws them at the store. It's very disorienting. It's all disorganized. It's bad. Books suck.
Don't read.
Before we get into Visser, because there's a lot to discuss. And also, I don't know if you said, we're only talking about the first half of Visser today.
Yes. You can, if you want to know how much, you can go back and check the end of last episode. But it's only the first half for this pod.
Yeah, or you can look in the episode notes because I'll write it there too.
I guess.
We do have just a couple items to discuss first. Quick ones. The first one was, I just wanted to say that from last week's book, which was about Marco's dad getting remarried. I did have a funny idea for a song parody, but I don't think I'm going to make a full length parody song. So I just wanted to sing it for you and get your feedback here, just live, and just see what you think.
Okay. Feedback for this song can be sent to theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, I just meant like you. The listeners.
The listeners should too, I think.
Okay, sure. Okay, so okay, you ready?
Okay.
What about something like this is not like fully fleshed out, but this is just
right.
I think something like this would be funny. So it's like, so here's to you, Mrs. Robinette. Marco loves you more than you could know. You know,
right?
That's the idea.
I mean, the first line you had me sold. The second one, I don't know. Maybe it needs some workshopping.
Marco instead of Jesus. It's Marco,
right? But Marco doesn't like her. I mean, what if it was about Euclid?
But
Euclid bites you.
I mean, that's pretty good. The idea is that she doesn't think, Marco hides his true feelings, but he really has grown fond of her.
I see.
Yes, more
we'll keep that in mind. We workshop that one.
Okay, so this is just so people understand. I don't just write every idea I have. You only get the gold.
Right.
This is this idea, which most people right now are thinking that's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. That's not even good enough to make my list. That's scrap. That's a rough draft that goes nowhere.
Yeah, this is us. This is you panning for gold in the river, and you see a glint, and you're not sure if it's gold or not yet. Right, with more investigation to be done.
Does glint kind of sound like a racial slur? All right.
Maybe to you.
It's too early in the episode for this. I see a glint down there. Okay, it's a racist Southern guy. It's not me. It's because you said panning for gold, and I thought about the Old West, and people were racist back then. Not anymore.
Right.
The other item we have last week. This is how we make sure no one gets past the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. We don't want anyone to actually hear our opinions on this. Yeah.
Yeah, both.
It's dangerous territory if you listen for like an hour, say.
Last week, we mentioned animorphspodcasts.com, which is a repository of all of the Animorphs podcasts that exist. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, I was so hyped on this, I even remembered it existed.
Wow. Did you look at it?
No.
Okay. I emailed the owner of the site, because that's what they say to do, to get your podcast added. He responded before our episode even went up last week.
Wow.
And put it up on the website. Said, thanks for starting this and for reaching out. And then asked about plugging the website on the show. And said, there are now 37 shows listed. So we are number 37 in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Animorphspodcasts.com. And not only that, last week we were talking about, alphabetically we'll be at the end.
Mm-hmm.
He put us right at the top.
Holy shit.
Now, I don't know. This is probably, it's probably like if you're new, maybe he puts you up at the top for a week or something. Or maybe when the next person gets added, because I'm sure there's a lot of podcasts that he has to add.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. 37 of them.
We might be getting a bump. I haven't checked the numbers lately, but this could be big for us.
All right. Well, when we do our season wrap up, we'll look at our numbers and we'll talk about that instead of the books, and people will be excited.
Yeah, people love that. People love hearing about the numbers.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's up there at animorphspodcasts.com. We're there. We're there.
Yeah, so you can see our name on it if you already know enough about us to listen to this episode, but want to see where you can find out that we exist.
This guy pays for the domain animorphspodcasts.com. Like, that's worth it to him. It can't be getting that much traffic. It can't be. Okay. That's all my business. We can move on to the book.
Okay. Look, we're going to get him on the pod, and then it'll be relevant.
A lot to talk about here. A lot.
Yeah. A lot, yes. One of the first things that I want to bring up here before we get into it is, so this is a big, lore book, right? Like, there are a lot of points that you'll have questions, and I'll be like, well, I think the Yerks function like this, and you'll be like, yeah, sure, I guess. A lot of times my evidence for that is coming from this book, and I think this is going to be the last big non-Ellimist lore book, right? Like, after this we'll all kind of be on the same page. There's not, there'll be minor things coming, but these big grand, how does this society function? How does this work? At this point, if you're not sure, then I'm probably not sure either. We've got the same evidence, I think, once we actually finish part 2 of this.
Interesting. Okay, that'll be kind of a nice milestone then.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting to me right off the bat about this book.
Mm-hmm.
It is listed on Seropedia, at least, as Chronicles number 3, but it is not called the Visser Chronicles or the Yerk Chronicles. It's just called Visser.
Mm-hmm.
So is this just a fan classification? Or is it officially a quote-unquote Chronicles book? What does that mean? Is that something different in your mind?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have always thought of this as a Chronicles book. I wonder if K.A. Applegate thinks that means anything. Or if it was just yes, this is my other, big... this is my chance to write about aliens and not the Animorphs and put a whole lot of background info and write a real, actual long book. Long by Animorph standards. I wonder, do you think she'd be sure, I guess, or yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense why it's not called that, because it isn't. The other one's almost, it's not even really true. I was going to... Hork-Bajir Chronicles is kind of a chronicling of the history of the Hork-Bajir, at least a little bit. But Andalite Chronicles is just the story of one Andalite, basically, right? Yeah. It's not it's not really a chronicle of them.
The chronicle of an Andalite.
Right. So if anything, they shouldn't have called him that in the first place. That book was a misnomer to begin with.
Maybe they just misspelled. It should have been the Andalites Chronicles.
It should have just been
Apostrophe S.
called what wasn't it called Elfangor's Journey or something? Or is that one of the
Wait,
parts?
what?
Wasn't it called
Is
like
it?
Elf? I thought there was
Oh, maybe.
part 1, Elfangor something
Oh,
maybe.
yeah. They all the parts did have names, didn't they?
I don't know, but
I'd have to go look. Yeah.
I'm looking at the Seropedia and I can't find it, and I'm not looking anymore. But maybe I made
I'd
that
have to
up.
get out of my seat to grab my copy, so I'm not going to do that. It's like a good 4 feet away from me.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This one's just called Visser, which also, again, on Seropedia, it is stylized in all caps. I don't know if that's, again, is that what it's actually, or is that just the font?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the cover. It says Visser in all caps, but it also says Animorphs in all caps, so...
Right. Well, the A and the S are a little bigger than the Nemorph.
That's
to be
true,
fair.
I guess.
So maybe just those parts are all caps. I don't know. Just the general. I have questions. These are questions that will forever go unanswered about the nature of this book.
We'll ask K.A. Applegate when we
We'll
next
ask
get
her.
her on.
Yeah, that's a good call. Now, this book, for anyone, maybe people don't remember, or maybe you just jumped in because you're a big Visser head and you just wanted to listen to this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the gimmick of our show, you see, is that you have read all these books, and I haven't.
Right.
But I have read some Animorphs books, and I think this came up on the pod before, but it might have been off pod. But it's relevant now, so I'm going to repeat it. At some point before we started the show, I was getting rid of a bunch of books, and I had a handful, like maybe I had 6 or 7 Animorphs books, and I gave them to you because I was like, I don't need this fucking trash.
Mm-hmm.
And now, according to you, you claim, I don't know if I believe you because I think maybe you're lying for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I might
one of those books was not Visser. I did have a Hork-Bajir Chronicle, and maybe Andalite Chronicles was in there too that I gave you.
Yeah, I mean, your stack of books is separate. I can look at it right now. I do not see a Visser in it, but I do see a Hork-Bajir and an Andalite Chronicles.
But I don't know what happened to it because I can. Maybe I'm crazy, but I could swear to you that I did have this book at some point as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, were you gonna?
Oh, I was wondering if it had something to do. Seropedia says that there was no softcover version of this book.
Oh,
so
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if maybe it got stored separately because it's a different shape, like size, shape, and maybe you didn't see it or something.
Maybe. Or maybe I somehow got rid of it or just lost it somewhere earlier along the way. I don't know. I mean, there were multiple moves these books went through.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows where it ended up? But I remember I feel like I had all 3 in hardcover. Are they not? Are they softcover my Chronicles books?
Your Hork-Bajir is softcover, and so is Andalite Chronicles, which is good because that means I now have both hard and softcover Hork-Bajir.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't before.
So anyway, but all this is to say that while I retain no memory of the contents of this book, I do not recall this plot. I really didn't recall the plot of any of these books past like book 7 or something when we started. But I have a strong, distinct memory of this cover.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I'm like feel so confident I had this book because I remember this font, the pose of this. I remember seeing this book just on my shelf when it would sit there, not even reading it. Maybe I remember looking at it more than actually reading it. Maybe I never read it. But something about the cover, and I guess we can get into the cover. Maybe I'm talking too soon, but
this is a good transition into the cover, I think.
Yeah, but there's something very iconic about it to me, very memorable, that left an imprint more so than the words on the pages. I recall this intimidating Visser cover.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I agree. This cover is really like as just like an attention grabbing cover. It's very good. It looks great. Visser 3 is standing there. He looks very imposing and menacing. He's got his arms crossed. He's looking down at the viewer. We've got kind of space in the background here. The book, the like, what do you call it? The like slip cover, the book jacket, has like a shiny foil thing to it. Like if you take it off, it's just like, kind of a flat matte drawing, but it's very attention grabbing. It looks
Yeah.
cool.
Especially if you aren't an Animorphs person and you don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would this be foreshortening on his legs there?
Yeah, I guess
I'm gonna
so.
call it that.
They're sticking those hooves right in our face here. If
They
I had
do.
a hoof fetish, then I'd be into this cover here.
Thank God you don't.
Maybe if I wanted to, maybe just give him a little kiss.
Interesting.
Maybe if I did,
Well,
this
it
would
kind
be
of
a
looks.
good cover.
It looks like maybe he's presenting them to you and saying, "Bow down, slave, and kiss my hoof."
Right? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does look like he's saying that.
Yeah, and you'd hear it in your head.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Visser 3 ASMR. But we don't have that.
No,
we don't have that.
None of that. Now on the back cover, it's the exact same pose but from behind.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's fun.
This is now one thing we must have discussed this with the other Chronicles books, but I don't remember that the artist of the Chronicles books is a different guy it's not David Mattingly who does the other books.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've mentioned his name before, but I can't remember at length talking about it. Maybe we did in Andalite Chronicles. It's just been so long. But his name is Romas Koukalis or Romus Koukalis.
Oh, yes. I do remember this name. Yeah. Did he do all of them?
That says he did all 4 Chronicles books, yes.
Okay.
He also did some poster, and he's also done Magic the Gathering cards.
Good job, Koukalis.
And it makes sense. They do a pretty good job. Like, he copies the style pretty closely, but you can tell there's a little bit of a different sauce on these Chronicles books. And this one, like, again, sometimes Axe we talk about looks real goofy. Visser 3 does not look goofy. His ears look, do they look wider, like further out from the head than they normally do? Or pointier than they normally do? Or is that just the shadow?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the angle you're looking at it at. I mean, are you kind of identifying with that a little bit?
I don't know what you mean.
Just a thought I might have.
I don't see. I don't even know what that means.
Okay, well, but yeah, possibly. I also, the tail on this one is a lot more like what you might imagine an Andalite tail to look like. A lot of times they're like, because they're supposed to like fight with them while like facing you, and I feel like a lot of times in the drawings they're like almost too short. It's like if you were to push that thing all the way forward, you'd get like 2 inches of length past your nose or something. This tail is long, right? It's big, and this thing looks like it could really do some damage.
And that dude was large. That's a reference that I won't explain.
Good.
After the show, it's about Jared Fogle. Okay, so yes, the tail looks appropriately long. It makes a lot more sense. He's also he's looking buff, but also almost too skinny. Like some areas he looks underfed. You can see his ribs. You know what I mean? He looks bony.
Yeah, he's very defined. He's toned.
Yes, like real. But like, what's Visser 3 doing all day that's keeping him in shape? Is he jogging? Is he lifting weights? Like, what's he do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he kept up with Alaran. Came in all physically fit and buff because he was like a badass warrior soldier. So I guess Visser 3 is either keeping up with that regimen, or maybe just like the fact that Alaran had that past history has allowed him to keep a little bit. He hasn't gone into dad bod mode. He's not like, oh, back in high school I was a star football player. Now I got my beer gut. That's not with him.
I think there's two explanations here. One is maybe
Uh,
Andalites just have a natural, because remember, they just absorb grass through their hooves.
mhm.
So I guess maybe they just take in no fat whatsoever. So they just are naturally buff all the time.
Well, it wouldn't. It would, as long as they're eating too many calories, right? It wouldn't matter if there's fat in there.
But I don't know if
But
you're
if he's not eating all
absorbing
the grass,
nutrients through your hoof, then maybe calories aren't even a factor. You're
they
not
gotta
like,
be.
I don't know.
That's just physics.
I think their hooves just absorb the vitamins and shit, and it's just like it's only
Well, they
what they
need
need.
calories to move.
Well, fucking we do, but I don't know that they do. They're aliens. You don't
Well,
know
you
how
need
their
to.
fucking physiology
That's what a
works.
calorie is.
You're what a fucking
It's a unit of
calorie is, you
energy.
dipshit. You don't fucking know.
I know.
So that's for the first explanation that
Okay.
everyone agrees with.
What's the second one?
The second one is that every time he morphs, he's remorphs into his standard form. So he could eat a bunch of potato chips and then just morph in and out, and he resets. This is something
It's
we've talked about before. We don't know how that works, but
Yeah. I mean, it almost sounds like you're being a little fat phobic here. You know, like if you morph, you heal an injury. So you're saying if he morphed, he would what? Heal his fat, as though that's a problem somehow.
well, I would say his size. I wouldn't use the F word as you're doing.
Uh-huh.
But
I'm just talking about like the adipose tissue.
otherwise, yes. My language would be more politically correct, but the sentiment, yes, is I agree with.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, those are both explanations.
Great.
Listen, maybe he just likes working out. I mean, he
I
loves
don't
his
know.
Andalite body, you know?
No, I think Visser 3 is sitting in a chair barking orders. I don't think he gets up.
You don't think Visser 3? I think Visser 3 probably spends like half his day looking in the mirror admiring his Andalite physique because he just loves his Andalite body so much. And so then he spends like most of the rest of his day working out like, God damn, I'm going to look so good.
I
That's what
mean,
I think.
he can't like it that much because let me tell you, I'm looking and I don't see no big Andalite hog between those legs. Just saying.
Big Andalite hog.
Where's the
That's
hog?
That's this
Kukalis.
podcast in a nutshell right there.
Kukalis. Where's the hog? Kukalis.
Oh, I'm sure there are plenty of opportunities to see that hog if you Google the right search terms.
Listeners, please send those in because I am not very good at computers and I won't be able to find them myself.
Yeah, we're begging you.
So I've been excited to read this book because it feels like this is like I know for a fact I never got close to an Ellimist Chronicle, you know, but this is the last book that I'm like, this is a part of Animorphs I sort of remember existing. But I do wonder, I'm sure I really wonder what I thought of this book as a kid because I don't think I'd read anything past the teens maybe of Animorphs. So I'm like, how the fuck did I? This is unlike the other Chronicles books. This one seems to rely on you knowing what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I think you could still, because back as kids we weren't used to like, being able to just see everything in a show or whatever. It was a lot more. I think that you as a kid are able to pick this up and kind of fill in the gaps, like. Oh, yeah, I missed when they did this and this, but, like, I get it. There's still Animorphs. That's Visser 1. Sure, why not? Some shit happened. Like, I think we were more in that mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I'm sure I feel like the draw of this book is, oh, you get to learn more about Visser stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called Visser. It's not really that smart of a statement.
Right. Now, on that topic, I have a quote here from Seropedia that you may not have looked at because there might have been spoilers surrounding it. So, this says Visser 3 on the cover. It's called Visser, so the assumption's that it's about Visser 3.
Hold on, it says Visser 3 on the cover?
No, it says
it has Visser 3
It has Visser 3 and it says Visser.
Yeah.
You might assume that it means Visser 3.
Yeah.
Right.
I said this as much last week, yeah.
Yes, you did. So let me just I'll just read the quote off here. One of the main questions that fans have about this book has nothing to do with the story, but with the cover instead. Why exactly was Visser 3 featured on the cover instead of Visser 1? K.A. Applegate admits that she feels responsible for the mistake. One of the first things K.A. had to do for her books was create an outline for Scholastic. They used this outline to write the summaries on the back of the books and to create covers and titles. The outlines for the books were generally vague, though, so she won't be limited when writing. For Visser, she implied in her outline that the book would be just as much about Visser 3 as it would about Visser 1, which led Scholastic to choose Visser 3 for the cover. But when K.A. actually sat down to write her book, she found Visser 1's story much more interesting, and the book ended up being all about her. By then, it was far too late and too expensive to have a new cover created.
This sucks.
So this book is about Visser 1, mostly, and not really about Visser 3, despite having Visser 3 on the cover.
And I have to say, I found that disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I'm interested in the story of Visser 1, the thing with Visser 1 is we have gotten a decent amount of time with her, and I imagine we're going to get more because she's directly related to Marco in a way. Mm-hmm. Whereas Visser 3, you never, ever see things from his perspective because he's just the villain and he's off doing whatever he does. So the promise of this book, the potential of getting the Visser 3 backstory, and also we've also lamented his devolvement into stupidity over the books. So the opportunity that there was there to flesh him out and make him more of a three-dimensional real character with feelings and opinions that make sense. Mm-hmm. I did want that and hope for that in his backstory, which we did get a little bit of it in Andalite Chronicles, but
we got a lot more in Hork-Bajir Chronicles. Like the best and most interesting parts of Visser 3 are in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles. And there's enough in Andalite Chronicles that you can draw conclusions about like some kind of character arc that progresses the two.
Yeah.
But then like, you know, there's such a divide between Visser 3 in Hork-Bajir Chronicles and Visser 3 in the main series books that like that becomes very tenuous. And I agree with you, like there's so much room to like maybe give him a reason that he is the character he is rather than just kind of like establish this interesting guy and then be like, and then he turns into a villain of the week, whatever, who cares? I do love this book. I love the story of this book. I love what is done with Visser 1 in this book, but I agree with you. Visser 3 in general is a missed opportunity, and I don't feel like it's too much of a spoiler to say that this was really your last opportunity to get a deep exploration of him, right? Like, you know, you'll still get appearances in the main series books. Maybe you'll see a little bit more of him as a character, I guess, but like really, you wanted a Chronicles, and yeah, guess what? He's not in the Elemis Chronicles.
If anything, this book like doubles down on him being a big dummy. Like it's not even, it's forget about equal billing. He's like, no, nothing. It's just, that's the guy. It's Visser 3 doing his dumb shit he does.
Yeah, it feels, and maybe it's just because the writing is better, it feels to me a little bit more like, oh, this is like a dumb guy character, as opposed to this is just a dumb guy insert, like cutout. Like he feels a little more fleshed out as a dumb guy, but I would generally agree with you.
Well, on the writing, we're back with K.A. and Michael Grant this book. Mm-hmm. No ghostwriters, so that's a nice. That was the last time we had one of those? Was that the Separation? Yeah, it was the last K.A. book,
Separation,
which wasn't actually that long ago, right now. But yeah, you know, that's fun.
Yeah, back with them, and they do a good job, I think.
Well, we'll see.
I mean, okay. You didn't even finish it yet.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we'll see.
Fair enough.
Because my opinion is sort of the ultimate one. Well, you're blinded by nostalgia, as we've established. You can't really have a fair, objective opinion. So ultimately, I'm the correct one.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. All right. Are we the story of this book? Do we wanna?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we wanna.
All right. So this book opens. Jesus Christ, we're setting records on intros here.
No. We're only 30 minutes. That's like standard for us. This is fine. This is not normal. This is fine. We had an email.
Okay,
This is
okay, okay.
100% on track. We're only doing
All right.
part one. Part one. This is going
Part
to be fine.
one. All right.
I don't have
All
much to say
right.
about this book. I thought it sucked. So go ahead.
Book opens on a prologue, a flashback prologue. We flashback to when I guess it's a well, whatever. It's a flashback prologue to when Visser 1 had been living as Marco's mom for a while now, Marco's mom Ava. And we flash back to the night where she faked her own death. So we see her say goodbye to the family and like intentionally setting things up to look like an accident and go out on the boat. We see all that from Visser 1's perspective. We also find out that at this point she is not Visser 1 yet, or rather she has just been promoted to Visser 1 and that's why she left. And she had been on Earth learning about humans and setting up the beginnings of this stealth invasion.
Cool.
Now, last time I remember you were referring to Marco's mom as just Marco's mom, and I think I corrected you and said her name was Ava. Now, according to Seropedia, apparently this is the first time they say her name is Ava, which I thought they said it earlier, but if that is in fact true, it would make sense why you didn't know that.
So once again, you have spoiled something and ruined it for me ahead of time.
I know. Yeah, the whole book ruined now.
I'm still going to call her Marco's mom.
Okay.
Ava or Eva? You think it's Ava? That's because you love fucking anime, Ava.
I fucking hate anime. No, I have met multiple people with this name. I have met people who pronounce it as both Ava and Eva, but Ava is more common. Or at least in my experience, it was more common.
I like Eva.
You wanna go with Eva? I'll do Eva if you want.
Because, well, no, I think we can just both say different things like we do with the Hork-Bajir.
Okay.
Or Sirao.
I mean, I'm not even consistent with myself on that one.
Or Osprey. Or Koran.
Right, the Koran? When did we talk about the Koran on this podcast?
Are you kidding me? That was probably episode 2. Anyway, Hemingway. But what was I going to say about? Oh yeah, because I want to imagine Visser 1 meets Wally, and he's like, Eva, Eva.
I think that's actually spelled Eve, is it not?
Yeah, he's just saying the last E. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a cute little robot guy.
They built him with a cute speech impediment. People will like our garbage robot more if he doesn't know how to talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, the beginning of this book, it's pretty hype. I said that. You all right there?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm alive.
I said that I was disappointed it's not a Visser 3 book, but that only a little bit did that diminish my hype for, well, it's a Visser 1 book. That's still hype. Mm-hmm. And at first, I also was like, they don't let you linger too much, but there is a page or two where you don't know that it's Visser 1 yet. It seems like maybe this is just Marco's mom. I thought maybe they were going to show us when she first got infested. But then it becomes apparent that she is doing the fake her death thing. I don't know how much of these details. I don't remember how much we knew. We knew she went out on a boat and never came back, I think.
But we knew she was sailing and went out in bad weather. We knew that Marco was like, my mom was a good sailor and wouldn't have done. I don't understand why she would have done that. Yeah, I don't know.
It is also such a weird. I don't know. Is this sexist? How many moms are big sailors? It just seems like such a strange. I guess they live in California and they're like by a marina or whatever. So that's maybe a normal thing over there. But I don't know. It's just funny to be like, but she was always such a good sailor. It's not something I hear anyone. I'm not living that sea life. What can I say?
Maybe I mean, I can think of plenty of instances where it's like mom's active, but yeah, I mean, listen, maybe if I were more on the coast or something.
Yeah, it seems like, look, I'm sorry, ladies, but it seems like more of a dad thing. Marco's mom is going to be like, "Oh, you're buying a boat. It's too much money." You know?
Mm-hmm. Marco's mom is going to come in here and she's going to be like that you are reinforcing negative stereotypes and
Well, can we give me credit that I didn't do a racist accent?
I always give you credit every second of the day that you aren't.
Yeah. This is what as a white man, I deserve more acknowledgement for not being racist. Because it takes effort. You got to work for that.
We haven't lost enough followers yet in this podcast. We decided to tone it up this episode.
I told you this is why I said that stuff at the beginning. So they don't hear this part.
Now, I do
now
like
at the front page of animorphspodcasts.com. Right at the top. First on the list.
Yeah, they'll come listen to this one first because it's the most recent.
Anyway, what do you like?
I like that Visser 1 legitimately enjoys sailing. This is a good detail. There's some talk about like the control and this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. But like you see a little bit more because one question that you bring up a lot, and we're starting to see a bit of this here. We'll see more of it as we get into the story. Is the question of like, what do Yeerks just like fucking hate their lives, right? Like, like doesn't it just suck to have to pretend to be a person when you're an alien conqueror? And you can see already here that like, well, there's some aspects that are just like, listen, I just want to go out on my boat. Okay, it's fun, like and in the past, I always have to appeal to like Aftran or whatever, because you look at like the guy in William Roger Tennant, and yeah, he's just a fucking psychopath who just wants to kill everything, and he hates it. But like here, we've got Visser 1, who we know is hyper militaristic, but she also has this other side. So it's nice to see that, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I wonder, so was Marco's mom a sailor before? Yeah, this happened? Probably.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if that question is ever explicitly answered.
Yeah, and then that because that's an interesting angle if she learned to love sailing from her host.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the first time I'm pretty sure that we directly hear anything from Marco's mom.
Like that's gotta be true, yeah.
Unless, is there a time when she... No, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. No, she said when they had her trapped in the restraints in book 30, she said something like, "Oh, fuck you, slug," or whatever. But
yeah, I think that was it. I think she said, "Fuck you, slug."
Yeah, she didn't know Marco was there, so
right.
She didn't. Yeah,
but we certainly get more in this book of her, talking shit to Visser 1, whose name is Edris. Is that her name?
Yeah, Edris 562, I believe.
Gesundheit.
Written down here.
Yeah, so that's fun. There's a few interesting world building things in here. One is that she also mentions that Earth is weird because it has a lot of different kinds of weather.
Yeah.
So it's canon in this. We're in Star Wars logic. Each planet has one climate, it seems.
Yeah, this book, and there's a couple times in the series where it steers into that kind of trope of like human exceptionalism, which can be kind of annoying. I think a lot of times it does a good job of like avoiding that, but you do get some of that, like, oh, there's so many species on Earth, and not every planet has this many species. Why? There's so many weathers, not every. Why is there? Human brains are so weird and different. What are they? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's so many more humans than every other animal. Really? Yeah, like a lot of this, you know what I mean? I can keep, there's a lot of examples.
Earth rules, dude. What are you, fucking anti-earther? Get the fuck out of here.
It's like that bit in Hitchhiker's Guide where the aliens are like, New York sucks because it's too hot in the summer and too cold in the winter. And like, yeah, sure, there's plenty of planets where it's like 40,000 degrees, but they range from 40,000 to 40,001. New York goes from like, 10 to 100. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a dry heat. it would be funny if Douglas Adams had said that. So another thing also when she's okay, I really like I like the logic that she gives of faking her death, that humans need someone to blame.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, she has to, and the person that they're going to blame is her. And she actually uses the phrase blame the victim, which I feel like in 1999, were people saying victim blaming? I feel like that was new.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess people were saying blame the victim at the very least.
I don't know. Maybe KA coined it.
Maybe. Possible. I suppose it's possible.
I think she coulda. So that's neat.
But also, I liked it. There's a specific phrase there. She says there's no room for random chance in the limited human cosmology, which I do like, right? Like it's that, it does get into that psychology a little bit of like, why are you doing this blaming thing? Well, because it can't, something can't just go wrong. It can't just go wrong. It must be your fault somehow. Or somebody must be at fault. It must make sense. Kind of thing.
Yeah. On the subject of cosmology, this book does have some slightly bigger words than most Animorphs books do, I think. The vocabulary is a little more advanced in this, which is fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you corrected yourself. Bigger words, that's a regular Animorphs book. Advanced vocabulary, that's Visser.
That's right. Exactly. I'm learning things. Okay. I mean, I guess I'll just say this too. I wrote this. I guess I still don't know the answer to this. Maybe I do. I feel like, do I need have to? Did they tell us this basically by now? But I also didn't know, that she was, I assumed she was Visser 1 pre-Earth. This is saying she
was not
promoted after she was already in Marco's mom, like living normal Marco mom life. So I'm like, what level was she at before, and what did she do on Earth that was so amazing it got her to Visser 1?
So they give her the level that they do say explicitly in this first half what level she is. I have it in my notes. We'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't say exactly what she did, but they imply it, that basically the implication is that she came here and kicked off the invasion, right? Like there was no invasion and then she kicked it off.
But wouldn't that all be before this is what I don't know, because the half we've gotten to, she hasn't recapped her getting in Marco's mom yet.
Right. Yeah. We don't know that part of the timeline yet.
So I guess I'm jumping ahead, but it seems I'm confused about how wouldn't she have been Visser 1 before any of that happened? Like, wouldn't she just get a better host body immediately because she's the one who kicked this all off? But I don't know. I'm gonna have to read it next week and find out.
Yeah, we can discuss if you still have those questions in part 2 and how you feel about that.
Yeah. All right.
So let's jump forward to the present day.
Chapter 1.
You like that? Chapter 1, yeah. So Visser 1 is on trial. She's on trial before the Council of 13, and she has been accused of treason for like the events of Book 30, among other things. And Visser 3 is acting as like the prosecutor. She's facing a death sentence by Kandrona starvation and a bunch of other charges. We can go over them if you want. I got them, whatever. We also find out she hasn't been healed since she was captured in Book 30, so it's worth remembering that for this section, she's got like broken bones and she's like kept in like near Kandrona starvation. She's got burns all over her and shit. They say that by Yerk law, she has 1 feeding cycle to present her defense, which should be 3 days, but it's actually probably closer to half a day. And this is basically the setup for this book. She's on trial for treason, and she's going to have to defend herself.
Closer to half a day because she's already starving.
Starving, yes. Yes. Yeah. Because Visser 3 has been starving her.
Right.
Yes.
Already, right away. I mean, this is we've heard reference to the Council of 13. This is the first time we've really seen them at all.
Yeah,
Or
I think there were one or two times where I brought them up, I kept bringing them up, and you were like, "Oh, you still remember that, huh?" They mentioned that what once, and it's like, well, yeah, I remember it from the future.
yeah, I really hate your guts. Anyway, um, a cool premise.
Hmm.
Love a trial is always fun. That's a fun way to do it. This feels like, have you ever seen the movie Defending Your Life?
No, I don't
This
even know what
is
this is.
very similar to that movie, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud. You know Albert Brooks?
What do you do?
He's Bob Ein's Super Dave's brother.
Oh, okay, okay,
He's a very well-known, famous stand-up
sure.
comedian and filmmaker. You should watch Defending Your Life. It's a great movie, but it's the premise is that he dies and he has to defend himself to like basically decide if he's going to heaven or hell. And the way that works is it's like a trial, and they literally play clips from his life, and he's like assigned a lawyer to defend him and say why that was good or bad,
Mm.
which is kind of what happens in this book.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's pretty similar. Yeah.
they're not dead, but it also but anyway, but the Council of 13.
Hmm.
We gotta talk about them. So the
Yeah, we
makeup of
gotta.
this council, it's 13 Yerks.
Yeah.
There are 9 of them are in Hork-Bajir bodies.
Hmm.
2 of them are in Taxon bodies,
Hmm.
and 2 of them are question marks because they're
Yeah, we
just
don't know.
they're in shadow, or why they don't have their cameras on. Why can't you?
Yeah, hidden by their robes. They all have dark red robes. I
Like
don't know.
what is the like, who are they? Just weirder aliens? Are they humans? Are they just shy? Is there any do we ever find this out, or is this just a bit of mystery for mystery's sake? Is this a
Yeah,
JJ Abrams?
I can't help but wonder if maybe she did that because she was thinking about writing some Council of 13 members later, and she didn't want to back herself into a corner if she wanted to be like, "Oh, Cassie's dad is the Council of 13 or some shit." No, we never find out anything about this. So
Okay, it was a giraffe.
yeah, I'm imagining them like the Grim Reaper, but maybe like baggier in case they have more limbs under there.
I am picturing them like cultists. You know,
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
describe them with black and red robes, I think.
Hmm. Or like, was it black and red, or was it like very, very dark reds, like
Yeah,
almost black?
yeah,
Whatever.
like
It was something like this. Yeah.
blood red. I don't know, something
Yeah.
cool and creepy. Yeah, you're right. It is so dark they're almost black. Pretty. I also like that the Hork-Bajir have to wear special armor, otherwise they'll rip through the robe.
Where'd
They're
they
like,
get the
look,
idea for these robes?
I
Andalites don't wear
know.
them. Geds don't wear them. Hork-Bajir don't wear them. Taxons don't wear. Like, did they run into the Anga chicks and they all wear robes and they were like, "That's cool."
it's it's such a funny, stupid thing. They don't ever wear clothes except as humans, but the council, yeah, they're like,
Hmm.
yeah. We need artificial
Yeah.
skin or whatever.
Now, this is what sucks is that in book 5, when they went up onto the pool ship, all of Visser 3's and Visser 1's Hork-Bajir guys were wearing different colored uniforms. And then they never brought that back, so we never got
Mm,
Hork-Bajir in uniforms ever again, which sucks. I
yeah.
want to see them.
Damn, yeah, she forgot about that Star Trek detail she ripped off.
I know.
There were so many others. Okay, now before we even move on, this council.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
they
Yeah.
look, this gets brought up, like they do kind of Visser 1 talks about this a little bit,
Mhm.
but why would the highest ranking of all Yerks, why would you choose to be an Ataxon? Can you explain this
Mhm.
to me?
Yeah, I mean, like, they say that the taxons are getting, like, literally continuously fed. Like, in the holographic recordings, Geds keep showing up and, like, throwing meat into their mouths, and they're, like, giant fat taxons. Um, and I don't know, there's a part of me that wonders if maybe if you're a council member, you're like, you know what? I like to eat. I want to do it. I want to sit there and eat. So you get into taxa because you don't have to worry about the hunger because you're just fed all the time.
It seems to me like Council of 13 should be the Council of 11. Like, these two aren't taking shit seriously.
Maybe these are like the Baron Harkonnens.
Yeah. That's basically what one of them. Who's the emperor? It's one of them because otherwise you're not
Yeah.
tolerating this. Like, fuck off.
The emperor and his brother or something.
Yeah, maybe there's two emperors.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they say, yeah. So we didn't mention that yet, but yeah, they say at some point. I don't know if it's here, but they say at some point that one
Yeah.
of these guys is the emperor, but nobody knows who except for the other council members because they don't want him to get assassinated.
And I'm pretty sure they have said that before, unless you just told me that. But I feel like I did know that.
Okay,
Detail.
I feel like I did not bring that up
I'm
unprompted, so
and
maybe it did say that.
It
I don't
must
know.
be in Hork-Bajir or Andalite Chronicles, I think. I remembered that detail, but
Okay.
or I don't know.
Maybe
Fact
because you
check
read
me.
this book as a kid and it's the only thing you remembered.
that must be it. Anyway, that's funny and stupid. And also this whole thing also reminds me of the Venture Brothers, the like when they talk to the evil council or whatever it is, and everyone's on a different screen so they don't know each other's identities. It's like they basically have VR and the internet, but because those weren't as much of a thing now, it's played like this is really cool technology.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is really cool technology.
It is cool. I think it is cool. And I like the implication that these guys might not all be in the same place. Like maybe they're all in totally separate areas or maybe they're in one council room and we just don't know.
I have another theory. Maybe one of them is really big, like Snoke.
Oh, this is a good theory. Yeah, one of the unknown aliens is a big Snoke.
It's reverse Snoke. He seems
They
normal,
have
but he's big.
Snoke robes, or I guess Snoke's guards robes or whatever. Right?
Yeah,
Don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of, yeah. He doesn't have like a gold one, but yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, he does. But his palace guards were in red, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
They're
whatever.
I'm imagining them all as Snokes now.
Yeah. One thing I said a couple books ago was how come nobody ever compares Axe to a horse? And here she does. Well, she compares Visser 3 Alaran to a horse. But she also compares him to one of my favorite phrases they've ever used. Which is, so it's like an earth deer or a horse, or a Desbadeen limner.
The classic give two normal ones and one weird one.
That's right. My favorite trope from Star Trek. They do that all the time on original Star Trek. And it's great. Desbadeen Limner. What a good band name.
It is good. I don't think we've heard of Desbadeen before, but we're gonna get another reference to the Desbadeen in this half of the book. So
yeah, I wondered because when they brought it up a second time, I thought, did they establish this at some point? Because it's weird to bring it up twice.
Yeah, not sure. She was just on that Desbadeen train. She was working out at Desbadeen Chronicles at this point, but didn't quite get there.
Look forward to my Despacito parody.
Oh man,
Desbadino.
Holy shit. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Just keep looking forward to it.
What else? All right, so a bunch of stuff. Let's also so it's clear that Yerks have some kind of like rule of law. Like she has a trial here. Right?
Yeah.
This is not something we've seen before. It's fully possible. In fact, I think it's likely that this is a privilege that Vissers get. If you're like a low rank, do they bring you before the Council of 13? Are they like, is Visser 3 supposed to bring you before the Council of 13 before he executes you? Probably. They don't really care, obviously.
Is there a small claims court or something? Like, is this the Supreme Court? You have to work your way up?
Yeah, are there other, like, can you have, like, a court of, like, the sub-Vissers on your station, or does it have to be the Council of 13? Who knows? But, like, they have rules. It's, like, laid out, like, okay, she can present whatever she wants as her defense. She has one feeding cycle. That's the rule. There's clearly some kind of, like, it's laid out in some way.
God, I just want to talk about the Council of 13. I don't even want to talk about the plot of this book.
I mean, listen, that's why I had one entire section devoted to there's a trial, because I was like, we gotta talk about this council here. We're not
It's
going to get
just
that many opportunities.
it's so interesting how it really makes the Yeerks seem ritualistic in a way
Hmm.
that I don't feel like they have really been depicted as until now. Like, whereas the Andalites and Hork-Bajir have rituals and
Hmm.
traditions, the Yeerks have just seemed kind of, like we've said, militaristic, and they're bad
Hmm.
guys, but they have all these, they wear the robes, they're like, this is the way it is done, the Council of 13, as if it was,
Hmm.
didn't they just make this shit up like 50 years ago? Like
Right, right. There's a hint of realism in there, which would work better if they explored Yerks more. Again, one of the big failings of the series is more Yerk stuff. But
This should have been the Yeerk Chronicles. I don't know why she
right,
didn't do that, but
yeah.
whatever.
But like this is very paralleled by like real world fascism. If you're gonna talk about like like very hierarchical, structured militaristic society, you immediately look to fascism as your real world go to, and that ends up with a lot of the same things you basically said, like, oh, I need to like talk about some glorious past, and I like arcane symbols, and I like all of this mysticism, but also most of what I'm referring to, it's something I made up on the spot that wasn't really there in 1,000 years ago, and it's all bullshit, and it's maybe 50 years old or whatever. So like that all is like cool and lines up well, and I would have loved to see it explored more than just like we get this chapter and now we get to talk about it and maybe even write some fanfic. But what else are we gonna do?
Oh yeah, a lot of good fanfics, I bet.
Hmm.
um,
I want to write about the fat taxon.
well, a taxon of size. What else? Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about her her charges.
Hmm. Yes.
And again, they get into this, so maybe we don't need to talk about it too much. But the last one
Hmm.
of these, she's treason by murder of subordinate Yeerks.
Hmm.
Which she points out herself, is like,
Yeah.
but when I first read that, I immediately went, Visser 3, you're not supposed to do that, because he did that all the
She's sure
time.
not. Yeah, no, she's not. He is not supposed to do that. Yeah, there is a part later on where she says like every single Visser and every single member of the Council of 13 is just in constant flagrant violation of every death penalty law all the time.
Which makes sense. It's
Yeah.
1984. It's rather Orwellian.
Hmm.
Well, it's not
But
Kafkaesque, so it's got to be Orwellian.
you're right. It's Kafkaesque when she leaves her host, I think.
True.
But
And the fact, and because this is a trial, as we've established, that is
ooh,
Kafkaesque.
right. Yes. Yeah. Right. You're right.
Yeah.
We've established that. But I don't even know what the fuck I was going to say. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We're talking about Kafka now.
they're they're hypocrites. They're hypocrites.
Yeah. So I mean, let's see. The charges are what? Incompetence, a violation of established procedure, sympathy with a subject species, contact with the foul Andalite race, and as you said, murder of subordinate Yeerks.
Most of which are death penalties, except for murder of subordinates is just, you got to do some chores.
Yeah, exile to punishment duty.
What does that even mean? Punishment
Scrub the
duty?
toilets.
Yeah,
I
and
gotta go to the toilet planet.
does exile mean forever? You're banished permanently?
Who knows?
I guess.
Siberia. Yeah, I mean, it does make it clear at the very least that these trials are all like wholly political. Like for all of the rules and regulations and rule of law, like the main reason to have a trial is a political one, right? Like they don't
Yeah.
if they gave a shit about these laws, they would care that everyone is constantly in flagrant violation. So there is some element even just at this point of like, this trial is kind of going on because they're not sure if they're happy with Visser 1. Because if they were sure, if they liked her, they would be like, who gives a shit? Fuck off, Visser 3. You don't get to, fuck you.
I think they're just bored. Like,
Could
they
be.
sit around, they got nothing to do. They're not on Earth. They're not conquering planets. They're just like, I hope everybody's fighting Andalites good today. Fuck, let's put someone on trial. I'm so bored. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, in respect to that, they also do, reference back in book 30, Visser once said that she'd lost her rank, and here we hear that her loss of rank was temporary, so they're still going to call her Visser 1, and couldn't help but notice that at the end of book 30, despite not being Visser 1, she still commanded like a, I don't even know, Dreadnought class ship or whatever the fuck they called it that was outclassing Visser three's blade ship. A lot of this does feel very like, is she Visser 1? Is she not? I don't know. We're going to treat you like you're Visser 1, but say maybe you're not because it's all politics and we'll put you on trial, but it's not, it has nothing to do with laws. We're trying to figure out if we like you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also just want to say, generally speaking, I think this book does a good... This is a really good way of doling out exposition, in my opinion. It doesn't feel like an info dump in this book. The way that she recounts things feels more natural to me than in most other examples in the series, where she's just kind of explaining stuff here and there as she talks about the Visser, or she's maybe telling the council about stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that worked well.
Yeah, I think that does work well, and the fact that it's a trial also kind of helps with that a little bit, because you can have these things where it's like the council also. Some of you on the council already fully know this. Some of you are vaguely aware of it, but like, because I'm trying to defend my life here, and I think the details are important, I think it's important that I go through every single point, boom, 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 just so we're all clear. Like that makes sense in this context. It's different from the standard, as you know, type thing.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Once there was a construction site at a mall. Also, I don't know if you have ever played a Phoenix Wright video game before.
I don't play video games, but I've heard plenty about Phoenix Wright games from the people I know who've played them, which is several.
The Ace Attorney series.
Yes.
As it's maybe known now. Well, they take place in a sort of a dystopian version of Japan, more dystopian, where all court trials have to be settled in 3 days. So I feel like you could make a really good Phoenix Wright lawyer style game where you have to defend Visser 1. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Yeah. Maybe I'll make it.
You can put that on the list of things to do along with your point and clicks in your board games.
Yep. Should we you tell me what you think, but should we now get to chapter 2?
I suppose. Should I introduce this now? We also learn about Garoff 168.
Oh yeah. That is worth noting.
Okay, I don't know if they note him more later, but he's on the council. He's the only named member of the council, and we know that he is Visser 1's old mentor, and he might be taking a leading role for the council in the trial. So he gets like all the speaking lines for the trial is Garoff talking to her, which again leads you to this question of like, what is this trial about? That her mentor is here. He's clearly got some interest either in being mad at her or liking her or something.
Also, what does that mean in your culture? What is a mentor? Like, did he train her when she was she trained to be a soldier? Did they like hang out together in the pool and he showed her the ropes when they were dividing cells and reproducing or whatever the fuck Yerks do in the pool? Like when did this relationship begin? I want to know more about the Garoff relationship. I don't know if we're going to get that in part 2, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. We'll see if we can pick up a little bit in between the lines.
It's kind of what I say when like somebody's bothering me. I'm like, get off me.
Oh yeah. Same. Okay. All right. So we're a little over an hour into the podcast. Do we want to do chapter 2?
Yeah, I think we should tell people what the plot of the book is now. There's so much at the beginning of this.
I know. Yeah, it's very beginning dense. All right. So Edris 562.
Garoff doesn't have a number, by the way, or at least we don't get told it.
We get told it later. I wrote it down here, but we get told later. It was 168.
then it was important that I interrupted. Okay, now keep going.
Yeah. So Edris begins telling her story. Okay, so story. Years ago, she was Sub-Visser 409. So that was her old rank. She was Sub-Visser 409. She was in a Hork-Bajir body, and she worked on Olgan Base, where she specialized in intelligence, and she was looking for a Class 5 species, which we'll discuss exactly what that means in a bit. But for now, think of it as like the perfect host species is what she's looking for. Um, so, Olgan sucks. We get to whatever. We get a scene where she gives like a speech to a bunch of new recruits. But after a little bit of just going over the basics of that, a Yerk named Method 572 gives a report to her. And so, if you remember in the Andalite Chronicles, when Visser 3 infested Chapman as part of a deal to like take the humans in exchange for power for Chapman or whatever, that whole whatever. Well, here's where that report went, right? That report went to Visser 1 that holy shit, we got a report of this new species. It could be Class 5. You need to go find it. You're in charge of it. So Visser 1 like recaps the events of the Andalite Chronicles, and while she's doing it, she points out that Visser 3 was involved with all that, and she's like, oh, well, he infested Aloran, who killed the Hork-Bajir, and Alfangor was there too, and, we had a human, and we had the Skritna ship with the coordinates, but that was all lost, and we didn't know where it went, and I had to be the one to find it. And she very dramatically accuses Visser 3 of being a traitor, of saying, well, it's all Visser 3's fault, because he's an Andalite sympathizer and a traitor, not me. I'm not the guilty one here. Anyway, she at this point in the story, she works for like a year's worth of time trying to figure out where the hell this human came from, where Earth could be, until her superior, Sub-Visser 17, tells her that she's wasting her time, and he's going to reassign her to the Taxon homeworld as a Taxon. So I want to pause here to talk a little bit about Olgan Base and Class 5 species and this accusing Visser 3 thing and all that. Because there's just so much shit.
Yeah. Very Phoenix Wright move, by the way. Mm-hmm. Halfway through or even at the beginning of the trial, to be like, it was actually the other guy who's already in the courtroom too.
I am led to believe that in Phoenix Wright, you have to accuse, like, somebody has to be found guilty. And if you can't prove who actually did the crime, they'll, like, convict your client.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. I'm glad we understand that.
Where do we start? I mean, for me, it's most of this is her training or indoctrinating her subordinates, who, by the way, insubordinates. Subordinate? No, insubordinate is like you're bad.
Yeah, they're not being a good subordinate.
Anyway, she totally murders one of them.
Yeah. Well, she murders the host and probably doesn't murder the Yerk inside.
Yeah, but it's like, what? She's on trial for that, and then that's part of her story, and like that was fine. I don't understand.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They know. She says at this point, she's all like, I know they had just put out, apparently, when this happened, they had just put out new regulations about killing subordinates, and she was like, but nobody gives a shit, and I know nobody gives a shit, and I'm just going to tell it in my story, because let's be real here, they don't care. Doesn't fucking matter.
I was a little confused, and maybe even more so later. No, I guess it's around this time. Do we get to memory dumps yet or not yet?
We're about to go into a memory dump after this. I figured I'd wait on that part.
Sure, we could wait on that. But it's like sometimes Visser 1 is addressing the council, and sometimes she has asides that feel like they're just for the reader.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't really differentiate unless there's something in the physical copy I don't have. It's like an italics or something, but it's like sometimes she's like, as you know, council, and then she'll be like, of course the stupid council didn't know. And I'm like, wait a minute, who are you talking to? Who are you telling this to?
The couple of times I noticed that, I thought it was just like, if it's in quotes, then she's saying it to the council, and if it's not, it's an aside to the reader. Like, because
Yeah.
she's not actually saying it, but maybe there's
Mm.
something I'm not aware of where she's weird about that.
Yeah, maybe it's just sometimes when she's giving exposition, it just felt like she was explaining this for their benefit, but I guess it's for our benefit too.
Hmm. And like I said, there are points where it kind of makes sense where you would want to re-explain it because, like, I don't know, maybe they're out of touch. You just make sure you all understand we're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the Yerks are like us and all their high-ranking leaders are geriatrics.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I mean, as far as killing that controller, she also has a good part where she's like, "It's a good thing he was in a Ged because we didn't have very many Hork-Bajir. If I killed a Hork-Bajir, I'd actually get in trouble because we need those. Fuck Geds. We can kill a Ged.
Poor Geds. We do get some more. We haven't seen Geds in a long time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You get a little bit of Geds.
I love Geds.
Yeah, that's fun. I'm always picturing. The thing I picture in my head is the monkey from Futurama. I don't know why. From the episode where it becomes a smart monkey, and I don't. That's just what I'm picturing.
Wait, do you mean Nibbler?
No, not Nibbler.
Okay.
There's one where like the monkey becomes. I don't even remember the details. The monkey becomes smart and is like friends with Fry, and then I think yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this, but no, listen, it's not wrong. Yeah. Let's talk about what a class 5 species is.
Sure. Yeah, there's 5 classes.
Yeah, there's 5 classes. The first class suck and you can't infest them at all, and she gives Skrit and Na as an example. The second class, you can infest them, but they suck, and she gives Geds and Taxons. The third is...
Again, choice of council members, class 2 shit species.
He wants to consume. There's... Class 3 they're really good, but there just aren't very many, and that's the Hork-Bajir. Class 4 is they're good in all ways, but they're too hard to conquer, and that's the Andalites. And then Class 5 is just everything's perfect, right? They're good at things. There's a shitload of them, and they can't fight back. So this is a lot of what Visser 1 is concerned with, is finding somebody who fits that final categorization.
Do Yerks not know about Arn cloning tech? They don't know that they can jerk off the Hork-Bajirs and make more? Or
yeah, clearly they didn't. They just blew them up and shot them for target practice. They didn't actually look at what was in those computers.
Yeah, would probably help them a lot. I think it's it's interesting that Yerks themselves are not part of this classification. It's they're outside of this sphere.
You can't infest a Yerk.
Right. It makes sense. Yeah, right. It makes sense, but it does feel
maybe they're class 1.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Yerks have brains. They must, right? Must.
Can a Yerk infest a Yerk? That's a very good question.
I mean, obviously they'd be too big, like they wouldn't fit, but
I'm imagining like those like same size Vor pics where they have the giant bellies.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Come on. People don't know what sick shit you're talking about right now. They don't need to hear this.
They know.
Yeah.
They just Googled it.
No, if you're an adult listening to an Animorphs podcast, you probably know. Because you read Megamorphs book 2 and you developed Vor fetishes as a kid.
Oh, right. Yeah, the Vor book.
Anyway.
We got this Olgan base. I always imagined this base is... I don't think there's any reason to have done this, but do you remember in like Ender's Game where they send him off to like the other school that's in like maybe an asteroid or a moon of Mars or some shit, and it's like an old bugger colony, and they're like in tiny tunnels, and the gravity's not good. I imagine this place is being like that because they keep talking about how it's only good for its like point in zero space, and everybody who gets any rank there just immediately leaves, and it sucks. It's probably just like a satellite or something, but I don't know. I always imagined it like that as a kid.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good. It's really
It is
good.
good. Okay, okay, good. I'm glad. We get a lot of alien lore, just like lots and lots of bits and pieces about aliens. Um,
Yeah.
she says that Hork-Bajir brains have the innate quirk of confusing various languages, which seems kind
Well,
of dumb. Like it feels like that's them being like, how come the Hork-Bajir always talk in multiple languages? It can't be because they're bilingual and don't know Earth language that well. That must just be a thing Hork-Bajir do. Uh, it
well, this
feels,
is.
yeah.
I mean, I thought of this was a note I had for a little bit in the future, but
Mhm.
I did have to wonder, probably not for the first time reading this book, what language do Yerks speak? Because
Mm,
they talk. The only alien language we ever actually hear is Hork-Bajir language.
yeah.
Like,
How
which
much of that is Gallard? And how much of it is Hork-Bajir language? Like when the
also a good
Yerk
question.
Hork-Bajir yell, are they yelling Hork-Bajir or are they yelling in Gallard?
So I guess the Yerks just speak Gallard.
I guess. Is Visser one speaking in English in this book or Gallard?
Yeah, I don't know. Are they translating this for us or what?
Hmm.
I don't.
Yeah,
It's
don't know.
it's weird. It's just weird that they, for some species, reference it so specifically, and then for the Yerks, they don't really gloss. They can just
Hmm.
gloss over it. The other alien detail that I liked, or I don't know if I liked it. I thought it
Hmm.
was interesting. She talks about how Andalites and Hork-Bajir are gender differentiated, implying that Yerks are not.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something when I think I don't. Yeah, I don't know, because we've been defaulting to referring to the Yerks. We've talked about this a lot. Is like
Yeah, yeah.
maybe they take on characteristics of their hosts, maybe, and that's kind of the gender they go with, maybe. But this makes it sound like that just concept doesn't really mean anything to them. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know what to
Yeah, I mean
do with that.
that's in my fan theory, that's the reason, right? It's like gender doesn't mean anything to them, so when they encounter it in a brain, they just kind of go with it because they don't have
Mm.
anything to default to. If they were going to have something like that, like I said, we know that it takes three Yerks coming together to make
To screw in a
babies.
light bulb.
Yeah, so you would think that if there was going to be some kind of like sex linked gender, there would be three of them, but that doesn't seem to be the case at all.
Yeah,
I have,
I don't know. And she
you
does
think it can
infest
be
them.
any three Yerks, or do they have to be specific? Do Yerks have a sex of some kind, but they're just like not like more like you can't tell just by looking?
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like they're all just Yerks, but
Hmm.
it's like maybe they're hermaphroditic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I need to be able to turn that into a three Aphroditic, but it doesn't. That's not how that word works.
Yeah, sure. A fanfic will clear this up for us, probably. An erotic Yerk fanfic.
Uh-huh.
S-
I'm
Um,
looking forward to it.
and I think she does. She in Visser 1 infests a male host at first, right? We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get to that, but she will infest a male host eventually here for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay,
Um,
whatever.
yeah. Okay. So a couple other things here we've referenced before. She says here, Skritna are useless because of their annoying need to phase. So I when I came in here, I had said something to the effect of, uh, I thought that they were, um, that they couldn't infest them because the Skritna would like, they have their weird bug stage and then they metamorphize into the gray alien stage. And I had been running under the assumption that the grays sometimes just randomly turn back into the bugs, and I was expecting to see that reference somewhere and I never did. So I don't know where I got that idea unless it's from here. Now I don't know what the fuck need to phase means, but I'm in my head canon. I'm gonna stick with sometimes they just turn back into bugs randomly.
Sure. I don't know. I just read it as like, yeah, they turn into other things, but the details I don't know.
Yeah. We also I feel like this has been a question before, but it's explicitly said here that it is very difficult for a Yerk to escape a host as it is dying before it dies too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Sure.
we also find out that there is an ongoing insurgency on the Taxon homeworld, right? Like when they want to send Visser 1 to the Taxon homeworld, it says for doing anti-insurgent work.
Yeah. Sub Visser 409, you mean?
Sub Visser 409, yes, Edris.
Is that the right
Good old
number?
Edris. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like the cleaning thing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, other than the great part where she points her finger at Visser 3 and is like, I accuse.
Yeah, she literally says, J'accuse. I mean, doesn't
Yeah.
literally. She literally in English says, J'accuse.
Yeah, or Gallard. Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of Visser 1 and Visser 3 banter in this book, and I do feel the need to remind you that if you personally, that if you were to ship Visser 3 and Visser 1, the name of that ship is Visser Throne.
Yeah, that's good.
So just keep that in mind if you're ever thinking about that as we continue here.
Yeah. I was going to call them Visser One-y.
That's not bad.
Visser Oni-chan.
Oh my god, we have so much more to go.
No, this is going to be fine. We're almost done.
Okay. All right. So in order to avoid being a taxon, because she doesn't want to do that, Visser 1 or Visser Edris and her subordinate SM-293 steal a ship and head out to look for Earth, this human planet. And, Visser 3 is like, aha, she stole a ship, but the council's like, no, we already knew about this. She's been pardoned, whatever, continue the story. But because they've been over this before, there is a memory dump. Visser 1 has made a memory dump. So from here on, the council and Visser 1 and Visser 3 and also the reader are accessing the memory transfer protocol, so we can relive the story as she remembers it happening. Okay, cool. So Edris and Essam, they're running low on supplies, and they have nowhere to return to as they arrive at Earth, and they're like, well, shit, this better be the right planet. They get here, and immediately they start picking up like all of our media and data and like shit that we're broadcasting out into space. And Edris thinks, well, I only got one ship. I don't know if these guys are actually weak or not. We gotta figure out what is going on so we don't fuck this up, right? So we gotta be stealthy about this. She has no idea where to start with all the data we're broadcasting into space. So after she assesses that we don't have any, space lasers or whatever, she decides to land for a closer look-see. And they land right in the middle of Operation Desert Storm. Right? Like they do recon and see a bunch of Iraqi soldiers in trenches, and then they all get artilleried and like tanks move in. So yeah. So she arrives on Earth here in Desert Storm, which actually places this book as being in January or February, or not this book, but this part of the story as being in January or February of 91.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get to Operation Desert Storm.
Yeah.
It does feel like Kay Applegate started writing this book and got tired of having to justify her telling the story and having all these asides to the council. She was like, you know what? They have fucking memory tech. Let me just make that happen.
Yeah.
So I can just write this story, not have to talk about that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they can turn the memory recordings on and off. They're kind of like body cams. Mm-hmm. So when they're about to just murder someone, they can just click. Nobody has to see that.
Or can they? Or is it like after the fact you choose what memories you're dumping? I'm not sure.
I don't know. They definitely say like, oh, I noticed you didn't record this part. But I don't know if it was before or after the fact.
Yeah, there's like a bit where
you don't have this record, maybe.
Yeah, you don't have this record, and they're like, Vissers don't actually have to keep this record. The regular Yerks whatever. But Visser's, it's up to you if you want to have this to present at trial or not.
At the end of the day, you hook up to your brain to the machine and you decide which parts to download.
I don't know.
It makes no fucking sense.
I mean, I gotta say, immediately it's just like, oh, this is what the escort were doing, isn't it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, but they did it for entertainment, and these guys do it.
Well, maybe because the escort the main Yerks don't know about the escort.
Yeah, no, they don't know about it. And that actually made me wonder. I did not go back and check this, but I was wondering, what was Axe's reaction to the memory things that the escort have? Because if he was like, oh, I don't know about this tech, then that would imply they didn't get this from the Andalites. Well, I don't know but maybe he wasn't like that. I don't know.
Isn't this basically a Hirak Delest?
Yeah, this is kind of Hirak Delesty.
So I don't
maybe
remember.
They just do, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's like just the memory tech is sort of a different species have different versions of it, but maybe it's just a thing.
But Andalites are always talking about how they have like hollows or something, don't they? They have like holographic shit for like their entertainment, or do they not? I don't know. Whatever.
They say hollows. Well, I don't know. They voice chat with each other on Skype. I don't know.
Showing your age there with Skype.
Oh, look, Skype is still used.
Okay. I'll buy it.
I've used Skype. Also, this memory dump still includes commentary from Visser 1. It doesn't completely just switch to like an omniscient narrator or something. It's still her telling this story to us.
Yeah, she's like there in the memory, so she can like comment on it, or maybe just comment to us, but they can like tell how she was feeling. And
I don't know. It feels a little. I almost just wish it were a hard change in the storytelling method. It's a little messy to me, but it's fine. Iraq. They kind of
war.
Yeah, so talk about that. Give us a little history lesson, because some people might not be studied in history.
Okay, basically in the early 90s, the short version, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and the United States and a bunch of other countries, but mostly the United States, went in there and like kicked the shit out of them very, very quickly. And it's one of in a very long history of Middle East bullshit stuff, but this is Iraq 1, right? Like it was Saddam Hussein still, right? We're still, this is the thing that's like the precursor to the big one 10 years later.
Yeah, and this is the movie Three Kings, which came out in 1999 also.
Okay.
Takes place in during that.
Yeah, it's relevant because this book came out in 1999.
Right. So that's basically the beginning and end of my knowledge of that event, is that movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's more, but
there's probably more
you need to know.
Yeah, there's probably a couple more.
Yeah.
But I mean, what an interesting decision to make this the touchdown point. And they do kind of. It's not focused on too much, but a little bit, I feel like it starts to get into the territory of, oh, these humans war with each other, which we've heard the Andalites kind of talk about how, like, I can't believe the humans are so violent and uncivilized and bad. But I'm like, I don't want to hear any of that shit from the Yerk, because you just talked about how you're always killing your own people, so you better not start moralizing about humans to me, because I'm not.
They learned it from the Andalites. They would never want to admit it, but they lived peacefully in their pools and occasionally ran around as Geds until the Andalites showed them about murdering and hierarchies and armies and guns, and they were like, I want to do that. It's all the Andalites' fault. They learned it. Yerks are fundamentally good people, I think, and the Andalites are the people. They corrupted them. That's what I think.
What a take.
That's my take. I'm sticking to that take.
Okay, on the record. I'll wait. I think we'll talk. I want to talk more about that when we get to the next part. But
yeah.
I also like night vision spray.
I was wondering. I got to that and I was like, There was some stupid ass tech that we like had a conversation about, and I'm pretty sure it was actually the
It was the
eyeglass
host.
mounted.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. I was thinking in book 21 or something, they had like eyeglass mounted Dracon beams. But yeah,
I
I
don't
was
remember
wondering
that.
if maybe that's at some point
Oh,
they had
yeah.
said that they had these before. This
No,
spray. I don't think they did.
there's no
Okay.
way this has been brought up before. I would remember. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember the Cyclops beams
Yeah.
they had. Yeah, I was thinking when we just talked about the host on the Patreon and they have medical spray.
Yeah.
I just love the idea. Yeah, you just spray your eyes and you can see. Who who invented this tech? Because Yerks don't have eyes. So is this? Did they steal this from somebody, or did a Yerk scientist decide now that we have eyes, I better make shit for us to see at night? Where the
Yeah.
fuck did this come from?
Every time I don't know and it doesn't make sense for the Andalites, I'm gonna be like, they got it from the Angachik ship they took. That's where the Angachiks were all about it.
Okay,
They
yeah,
loved
the
night
Chicks.
vision spray. Maybe the
Such-
Skritnos stole it from somebody and they got one vial. And they were like, oh, better reproduce this.
How easy would it be to just say Hork-Bajirs can see at night? Like, they probably can.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Or they could have night vision goggles.
Sure.
You know, like people have.
No, it's got to
They could
be a
just have those.
spray.
I'm just imagining they grabbed the wrong spray and I'm imagining like some scene out of like Jackass where they like spray each other in the face with pepper spray by mistake or something.
If I was a kid, I probably would have sprayed something in my. I mean, I guess I did read this as a kid, so I guess I didn't do this, but it feels like the kind of thing I would do is be like, I'm like them. Ah!
You repressed. Listen, this is why you wear glasses. You don't remember, but
Oh yeah,
oops.
was right around that time. Yeah.
Second reference of Desbadeen is in here. I guess I can lead into Essam with that because we find out that one of the reasons Essam is not a Sub-Visser himself is because there was a neutral Desbadeen ship and he accidentally allowed some Hork-Bajir hosts to escape on it. But Visser one talks about, or Edris, whatever, I don't know, fuck it. She talks about SM293 as being like very competent and intelligent but weak. Right? Like this is a guy who doesn't have the right ambition or drive or like maliciousness and cruelty to really advance up the ranks, but he knows what he's doing. So like I think she says, I needed a competent servant, not a competitor. Basically this Visser one is a dom and this guy is a sub, so they were a natural. Like they just worked.
That's why his name, it's whenever she barks an order, he goes, yes'm.
Right. That is you cracked the code.
Yep. Well, I'm a little bit of a Kington over here. Bit of a code cracker.
Master code breaker over there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is where we meet Essam, who's gonna keep showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And Iraq. I do like all the, we get some fun. Hey, it's Earth, but I don't know about TV, so you get some of that. How the alien descriptions of things.
We'll get a little more of that later, but yeah, we get some now. We also get the great bit where she intercepts a snippet of dialogue here. The snippet being, "Hey, what's up? Nothing, man. Yeah, same here. So what did he say? He was all like, no problem." And I was like, reality check, okay? No way.
Classic teen dialogue.
Classic, yeah. I always love when it's like I need to write dialogue, but I don't actually want to have him say anything. Like, how many words can I put with zero content?
This is what the NPCs in Grand Theft Auto say when you're driving by them. It's not really a real conversation. They just have pre-recorded lines.
That's the name of our podcast, by the way. How many words can we say with no content?
You know what I don't like is that she spells sup T apostrophe sup. It's not just sup. It's like what sup. The
Yeah, kind of looks
fuck
like
is
a
that?
Navi word there.
Yeah, I hate it. To sup. Hey, no one's ever. That's not a thing. That's never been done. You can't tell me people used to write to sup. They never did.
To sup.
That's what I
Sup.
want, is to sup at night.
To sup,
Okay.
yeah. And we
Human
also
torso.
we see the first concerns about humans' ability to fight back here as well, right? Like Visser One has
Yeah.
some. She's looking at all the tanks and shit, and she's like, "All right, they're not like Dracon beams, and they don't have shields, and they can't, but like they can blow shit up pretty good. And there are billions of them, so like you know, maybe we come in here and win, but like I don't know that it's easy."
It's so funny. Like, they could have. Did they go to a place on their radar that they detected human activity or something? I don't remember how they decided to land here.
I don't remember that either.
It's like they
That
could have
is,
ended up in the jungle. They could have just seen a rhino and been like, "Hey, there's a human, I guess." Like,
yeah,
it's so, of all the places for them to land.
yeah, right. Like it's they just. I have no idea. I'm looking and seeing if there's anything. I'm seeing a lot of kawumps in the text.
Yeah, there are a lot of kawumps. I mean, they know not to land in the water.
Yeah.
I do, but it is. I very much appreciate that they don't just land in the United States, because that's such a, it's such an American centric. In every alien movie, it's like, yeah, of course they land. They're abducting people in Ohio. There are no aliens out in South America or whatever. Why the fuck would they go there?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they do justify why they're in America, which I think is good. Which I guess can lead us to the next section.
Yes,
but yeah,
please.
I appreciate a lot that as well. So after there's this big fight, you know, all the soldiers get blown up. They fly around looking for a human survivor to infest, so they can figure out like what is going on. And they find a lone Iraqi soldier. So they chase him down, and Edris infests him just like right there in the desert. We get this long description of the human brain from the perspective of a Yerk who is infesting it for the first time with like no idea what to expect. So after she gets a sense of what the human brain is like, who is this guy, what are humans like, she's like, all right, we can kill this guy and move on, right? We don't need this guy anymore. Fuck it. So they kill him and they move on to the next step, which is she says, all right. So these guys here in this location, they're losing the war. So they're weak. We don't want these guys. We want the guys who are winning the war. And those guys are the Americans. So let's go to America and start there. We'll figure it out from there. So
Yeah.
a lot of infestation stuff here.
Again, just who knows? Like, just this just happened to be the first human. You know, what if they ended up like in a Canadian or like a British guy, and the British guy's like, yeah, British people are the best. Then they'd be over there. You know, she just like believes the first brain she goes into.
Yeah, there is something reasonable there. But like I do appreciate at least the attempt to be like, well, we had our story set in America, and I don't want to be too America centric. So like,
yeah,
you know, there are ways in which America dominates the world stage, and one of them is, you know, militarily. So it would make sense that this fascist military, shithead would want to come here to the land of fascist military shitheads.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from Body Snatchers. You know, it's just a very different, unique start to the whole thing. So it's cool.
Yeah,
I am not totally sure this is how brains work, but maybe you can tell me otherwise. Is this how brains work?
Sort of, kind of. It's not outright wrong.
Okay. There's a lot of talk about the two halves of the brain, which I thought was kind of almost like how we say, oh, you only use 10% of the brain. Like, I thought left brain and right brain was kind of not actually a real thing. Am I wrong about that? Is it a real thing?
it's not a real thing in the way people use it, where they're like, "Oh, your rational side is right-brained and the creative side is left-brained." That's all bullshit. But the idea that like the right half of your brain controls the left half of your body, and the left half controls the right half, and a lot of components are distributed across the two halves, and they talk to each other. That all is true.
Okay.
Um, and there is some weird truth to the idea that if you split the connection, then the two brains like function independently of each other and might not necessarily have the same personalities as each other. Although what exactly that means is murky and weird, and you probably don't want to read too much into it. Um, she talks a lot about like, oh, like this is a democratic brain. It can argue with itself. It contains two different personalities or whatever, which I don't, that is a little shakier. Like that's not necessarily true. It makes more sense to be like, while these two halves independently would function differently, if you put them together, there's really just one brain, because they function together.
It
Um,
also implies that humans are the only species that like argue with themselves in their own heads. That's basically what she says. She's like, humans are
yeah,
so weird. They're constantly debating with themselves. I'm like, you can't tell me that Andalites and Yeerks
yeah.
don't do that based on our direct first person accounts from them. They clearly do it all the time.
Right. And we're not the only brain that's split into lobes. We know Hork-Bajir brains are split into three lobes. And yeah, the direct evidence contradicts it. It feels like I wanted to make an impactful metaphor about humans' ability to be both good and evil, and I wanted to relate that to Visser 1's story, where we're empathizing with her, and we can see her perspective, but she's a bad guy. And there's a lot of like parallels to this through, but it feels like we're trying to make that metaphor very like reality based,
Mm.
and and it's kind of like, in order to have the impact, it has to be what I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast. It has to be this kind of human exceptionalism,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't really map onto the rest of the series very well.
Yeah, I like the metaphor, but yeah, it just contradicts other
Hmm.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's weird.
And it is, I do think that kind of exceptionalism is a pet peeve of mine. Like why does everything about Earth have to be special? And this is not the only sci-fi series that has this problem, where like, oh, fundamentally this is, we're better or special or different from every other species, when really the expectation is that we should all be about the same, maybe different proclivities here and there, but about the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We're probably the best.
Yeah.
um,
Um
we get an Israeli drop here.
Oh yeah, she says the enemies of this creature are called the French, the British, the Israelis, and the Americans. I have 2 bullet points under this quote in my notes. They are based and same.
I think no more need be said about that.
I think we've covered it all there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What else?
The way you say that.
No, I mean, no. I mean, what else? That's all.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to move on to now? We go back to the trial here.
I do want to talk about this guy she infests.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I
Oh
I
yeah.
really like how this is done. I really like how, because I feel like it would be very easy. Maybe this wasn't as much of a thing in the 90s. Maybe it was more of a thing, but like, God, after all of the ways in which we caricaturized Middle Eastern people in the aughts when I was growing up, I just feel like, oh yeah, you almost kind of expect this guy to be a racist caricature when she gets inside his head, but instead it's like, okay, yeah, we find out he's a Muslim, We also find out that he has a family and that his kids are like the most important thing in the world to him. That he's a painter, right? He is a soldier, but really he's a painter in his everyday life. He hates the war, but he's also very proud of his service to his country. He wants his kids to be proud of their dad for being a soldier and fighting. Like, this is a guy. It's just some guy. And I really appreciate that about this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talk about the Quran a lot, as we established earlier.
Right. Yes, that is
And
something that comes up commonly.
we do get an Allah name drop here,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool because it's not something that was in a lot of kids' books. I'm
Yeah.
sure there were a lot of kids who were like, "What is that?" and had to look that up. I mean, I guess you did. They do say it in Aladdin,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, and it's not, again, maybe I'm just so jaded by post 9/11 shit, but he's not out there like screaming to Allah to kill her or whatever, right? He's in there like he's terrified for his life, so he's like praying to Allah to save him because he's like, what the fuck is this thing in my head? So like I like it. It's well done, I think.
yeah, very tasteful and respectful.
Yeah, tasteful
Like
and
us.
respectful. Infestation. Yeah, that's how I would call our podcast.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So, okay. Memory dump concludes. I'm just going to hit a couple of minor points here. Concludes, the council adjourns for a recess. Visser 1 and Visser 3 are left alone and they banter for a bit. There's a point where Visser 3 like tries to make Visser 1 an offer. He's like, "Oh, if the Earth has billions of hosts, if the two of us joined forces, we could overthrow the Empire and be the new council." And Visser 1 is like, "What am I, dumbass? Right? You say that to me in private thought speak, and then you record me agreeing out loud. Like, how fucking dumb do you think I am? This is obviously a trap." And he's like, "Oh." And the council returns from their recess, and we start up the next memory dump here. So we get to see, Edris and Essam. They return to orbit, and they try to figure out where the fuck America is. We get a bit where she's like trying to interpret media, and she can't tell what's fiction and what's real. But their supply situation's critical, so they have to act now. So they're like, all right, we're gonna try to land in Hollywood because it gets referenced a lot, so it's probably really important.
California confirmed.
California confirmed, or at least at this point in the story, California confirmed. But since I mean, listen, it's California confirmed. I could try to hide it. I could make up an excuse, but let's be real.
California confirmed, and I don't know. It's funny that Visser 3 thinks humans eat raw eggs.
Yeah, he just has no fucking idea. He gives her a head of lettuce and raw eggs to eat.
But Visser 3 has been in human morph, so he's just never eaten anything as a human.
Yeah. I mean, if he had, then he would throw away the entire invasion and go run a Cinnabon.
And also, none of the people underneath him know either. Like, he just tells them, yeah, go get some eggs and lettuce. Or just go get human food, and they all just don't know, so they're like, this?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, they probably wouldn't tell him otherwise, but yeah, no, you're right. He would say, go get some human food, and then I guess they got that and he didn't. Maybe they're playing a joke on him.
I mean, clearly the intended read of this is that Visser 3 is the stupid one, but if you're really going down the ladder here,
Yeah.
I don't think it's his fault.
Yeah, somebody else. I mean, he should know by now, but like, yeah, somebody else fucked up here.
Some controller went to the supermarket and was like, "Oh, for the trial, I better get some of these heads of lettuce." Like, where'd they get it from? They grow it themselves? Yeah. What are they doing?
Yeah, grab it out of the fridge at the Yerk pool.
Yeah. I don't want to talk more about the council, but this is where they kind of talk more about the emperor thing.
Yeah, this is where they bring that up. I feel like we went over everything with that, but I don't know.
I mean, I could talk about it more, but let's just move on.
Okay. I mean, so this clash between Visser 1 and Visser 3. It's this problem, Right, where Visser 3 is this children's media villain and Visser 1 is this real villain, right? Like, Visser 3 is a perfectly fine villain if what you need him to do is stand in the background and go, I'll get you next time. And that really kind of like, because the problem here is that this idea of like I'll privately tell her in thought speak and then she'll say it out loud and I'll make it look like she's betraying them. This is a perfectly reasonable and good trick for a Saturday morning cartoon. And the problem comes up when Visser 3 tries to do Baby's First Trap in children's media and Visser 1 says, that's Baby's First Trap in children's media. Right? like if it's not even just that the series is a bit tonally inconsistent, it's that we take these characters who are like characterized in those different tones and then we just put them together and don't worry about the fact that now one of them is fucking stupid.
Well, it's canon. It's just part of his character. He's Kylo Ren and she's Snoke. Or something.
No, Garroff is Snoke. She's Rey? Evil Rey? She's Dark Rey.
He's Darth Vader. I don't know.
I like Darth Vader.
Yeah, I mean, he is, at least he used to be Darth Vader. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're right. He's stupid. But I don't know. I guess I'd rather. Is it better that they acknowledge it, or would you rather they almost just retcon him and make him a little smarter in this book or something? Like what's the optimal choice here?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like I said, I don't mind it. I can reconcile with the idea that Visser 3 is kind of an arrogant brute who got where he was because he has his special interest, which is Andalites, and they never fucking put him on Andalites. And that's why he's just always so bad, because he's just completely disinterested in what he's doing. You know, it's like, I just want to fucking kill all these humans so we can go fight the Andalites. I don't want to deal with this. I'm not interested. I won't look at it. I won't pay attention. Like, I can reconcile that. It's fine. You know, maybe he's just a dumb guy, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not, I don't know. Honestly, for a second, I kind of thought maybe he meant it.
Yeah. I do think that Visser 3 is legitimately loyal to the Yeerk Empire in a way that Visser 1 is not. I think that Visser 1 is exactly the type to be all like, I'm just looking out for number one. If I got a chance to overthrow the council and I thought it was legit, I'd do it. Whereas I think that Visser 3 is like, wouldn't mind being on the council, but I believe in the glory of the Yeerk Empire. I don't know.
See, that would be a good canon explanation for why he's in power, is that they're like, we need someone who's a little dumb because we can control him, maybe.
Yeah, Visser 1 can't actually be trusted, maybe.
Yeah, except it sort of seems like the opposite because Visser 3 is so reckless.
Yeah, that is the problem. We get some good fiction versus reality tropes here, right? The aliens, like, oh, they have faster than light travel, but that's not possible. Wait a second. I don't know what fiction is, but they're lying for some reason. Why would that be? I do not know.
Yeah. Do you think Visser 1 likes these messages?
I think she learned not to, but I do think she likes Star Trek.
Yeah, probably. Andalites do have hollows, as we've said, so I mean, I'm sure I don't know, nobody puts on plays or writes books. Like, she's never heard of this concept.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't do it in the Yeerk Empire, so she doesn't think about it, even though they have hosts. I don't know,
well, it makes sense, because I guess, I mean, they don't have, like, sets and computer effects. Well, this is 1991, so the computer effects aren't that good. Maybe she's seen The Abyss. That's probably out.
Ooh, yeah. I bet she'd like The Abyss.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, whatever.
All right. Do you like the part where they decide to go to Hollywood and they say 4 locations are mentioned frequently in the data: New York, Washington, D.C., L.A., and Hollywood?
I do like it. For listeners, they're not all spelled right.
Yeah. I particularly like L.A. because I
LA.
think when I read that as a kid, I did not know what LA was.
It's a tough one to decipher.
ELLAY, for those
Under
of you
my
who...
umbrella, LA, LA. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. So okay, all right. I know we're 2 hours in.
No, we're
But
good. We're good. We're on good pace.
Let's get to the meat of this. Let's get to the part I'm excited to talk about here. All right, so they land in Hollywood, and they make their way to a house where they meet a Mr. Lowenstein, who is a movie guy, maybe a producer. I don't think it's explicitly said. And Jenny, who considers herself an actress but has never acted. She's a thought, basically. And the two of them think that the two Hork-Bajir are like guys from the studio in alien costumes or something. But Edris and Essam, they grab these two and they infest them and they kill their Hork-Bajir. And they're like, all right, so now we've got these two. And Essam is in Lowenstein and Edris is in Jenny. And we get a long discussion between Essam and Edris about who these two people they just infested are. And as they're trying to figure out, like, who are humans? What are they like? And as the memory dump concludes here, some of those themes of who humans are come back as Visser 3 and Visser 1 yell at each other about whether stealth or force is the correct approach to take over them. So I don't know if you remember this, but a long time ago I asked you a question. What do you think the hardest drug ever, like, explicitly referenced in Animorphs is? I don't know if you remember what you said.
I don't remember. Do you remember what I said?
I do. You guessed correctly.
Did you write this down?
You guessed correctly that it was cocaine. So Jenny here, Jenny Lynn Cadwallader. Everyone calls her name's Jenny Lynn, but everyone calls her Jenny Lines on account of how many lines of coke she's always doing.
Wait a minute. That's
Yeah,
I did.
Like,
not...
why else would they call her Jenny Lines? That is why they call, like, they say that she is addicted to a powdery, like, white substance, but slightly earlier they're like, her name is Jenny Lynn, but everyone calls her Jenny Lines, and there's really only one reason that could be true.
I 100%. I don't know what this says. Am I just this innocent, but I mean, there clearly are those drug references later are explicit. They don't say cocaine, but they say drugs. But
yeah, they do everything in their power to say cocaine, but they're not actually allowed to say it.
I definitely was like, oh, because she's an actress. She reads lines. 100% didn't think about it twice. That's just what I thought.
Yeah. Well, she's never actually acted. She just says she's an actress.
That's insane.
Right?
That
it's
is
fucking
insane.
Crazy.
I cannot believe, but that is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, she really goes balls to the wall in this section, because this is also the section where she says that Lowenstein is a Holocaust survivor.
She does?
she wait, fuck? Really? Okay.
What was I reading?
Essam says, where does he say it? Oh, fuck. I have the lines somewhere here. He says that in his youth, he lived in a different country and he lived through, quote, what the humans consider to be the most horrific torture and deprivation in their history, unquote.
I just thought that meant, God, I don't remember what I thought. I remember reading that.
I can't figure out how to interpret it any other way, right?
I don't know if I thought maybe that just meant like he lived through it, like he was alive during it.
I imagined him as being a kid in a concentration camp. Like, I feel like as a kid, I was just like, oh, he was like in Auschwitz.
My God. Where is, I gotta have to find this. Oh, here it is. This human has suffered what the humans consider. Yeah, I guess it must be. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
Why?
Like I said, as a kid, I read it like that, and I I don't see any reason not to.
I mean, because I feel like they've referred to it that way when they had to explain to Axe what the Holocaust was before.
Yeah.
But like, these are just things that I just glossed over because I was just focusing on the plot. I wasn't like thinking about this stuff. And I probably just was not expecting it from this book. So I was just like, I'm sure I don't know what that means. I just keep reading because I don't have a brain.
That's even better though, because like that's really what makes this bit so impactful. Is you're just like, Jesus Christ, lady, you're really going all in on these two here.
That is so weird. But how old is this guy?
Let's see, 91. If he was a kid, he could easily be 50 or 60.
And he's German. And
I guess, or Polish,
and his parents,
or he's Jewish. His name's Lowenstein, so he's Jewish, probably German,
and he works in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So he came from his parents immigrated, and they probably changed their name at Ellis Island to Lowenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And he grew up in Hollywood. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the fuck is happening?
Right.
I haven't even had a chance to say Jenny Lynn Cadwallader.
Cadwallader.
Fuck off. Okay, Applegate,
I've heard that name
you're
before
not writing
in like a
these
Twilight
books
Zone
anymore.
episode.
Fuck off. No, you haven't, because it's not
in
a
real life,
name.
but I've heard it in fiction.
It's not real. It's Cadwallader.
I don't know that it's a Arkansas name. But...
One of those needs to leave. Cadwaller, Cadwatter. It's too many syllables. Something needs to go. Fuck off. You know what?
Call her Jenny Lines.
Oh, this is. I have a note about this. How did I forget this? This is what I thought this meant. Again, suffered the most horrific torture and deprivation experience in his youth, even a Taxon would find cruel. So I honed in on the part about it being in his youth. I wrote down, was Lonnie Lowenstein molested? ?
I'll tell you this: there is no more information about that in part 2. So what you see here, you're just gonna have to draw whatever conclusions you want from that. If you want to go with your theory, that's fine. If you want to go with my theory, that's also fine.
So, I mean, the part about torture and deprivation sounds more like what you said, but yeah, that was, when I read that was my immediate thought, was maybe he was molested. But I was bewildered by this. I didn't know what to make of it, honestly. So now I know.
Okay, here's the question. So did I just jump there because I am a racist? Or did you not jump there because you are a bad Jew?
I mean, clearly I'm a bad Jew. I'm not. Yeah, if I was a good little brainwashed Jewish boy like I was supposed to be, I would, I'd be thinking about the Holocaust all the time, but I never am. So
okay.
By the way, what is the movie The Zone of Interest about? Because I didn't get much from it.
Yeah, no, it was kind of confusing to me.
I was like, why is this just a movie about a nice family with some noisy neighbors? Wish they would shut up, but they got a nice pool and everything. Okay. Oh, folks.
Yeah, this is the last episode we're going to be doing of this show. I'm glad we drove everybody away at the beginning.
I thought it was a joke when I was talking about that, but it wasn't a joke. I'll bring us back around full circle, because you said Jenny is a thought, and I've been picturing her as Roller Girl from Boogie Nights.
Mm.
And the cocaine makes it even more. I think that's who she is.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Yeah.
Right on the money there.
So, all right. Shall we move on?
Can I give you a list of human occupations that Essam gets from Mr. Lowenstein here?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says my host's memory catalogs hundreds of possible human occupations: producer, director, actor, assistant director, gaffer, best boy, pool boy, driver, wardrobe assistant, caterer, studio head, banker, car detailer, therapist, East Coast money guy, many occupations.
Yeah. I like the money guy.
Yeah, East Coast money guy is very good.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Um,
Many
but yeah,
occupations.
the basic setup here is that Visser 1 has been in a drug addict and a defeated soldier, and so she's like, oh, I get it. Humans are weak and easily susceptible. Whereas Essem's in the Holocaust survivor, and he says, no, humans have this inner strength that lets them, handle even the most brutal of oppression. And so and that's, like I said, Visser 3 and Visser 1 kind of argue on that same topic afterwards. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway. Oh, actually, this is the
Oh.
part, it's dropped in like one sentence here, and we don't find out much more here, but Visser 1 does explicitly say here that she founded the sharing.
Oh yeah. I wasn't sure if that was if we got to that yet, but yeah, that's and again
Yeah.
I was like, so Visser 1 took the first humans, created the sharing, and then she bounces, and then she's like, they're like, Visser 3, you do the rest. We haven't gotten to this part in the story yet, and I haven't read it ahead, so I don't. But right now, I'm just like, I'm really wondering, how did this become Visser 3's operation? Sort of seems like she masterminded the entire thing.
Yeah, like at a certain point, they're just like, you're promoted, get out of here, we'll put that Visser 3 guy on it. I mean, I will say this, you don't need, it's not spoilers to know that whenever she founded the sharing, it was before she went and got Marco's mom, because Marco does not think that his mom founded the sharing. So,
Right, she didn't do it. Well, I don't know if she
yeah.
did it as a human or if she just planted the idea for someone else to do, or, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
All right, so they're having this whole argument, Visser 3 and Visser 1, and about whether they should use force or stealth. When suddenly the trial is interrupted because the Animorphs are attacking them. These two Hork-Bajir turned traitor, like one of them starts shooting at them, and the other one opens up the door and lets in a tiger and a bear, and they charge in and attack, and this massive fight breaks out, and the council is like cheering them on like it's a gladiator battle. And then Visser 3 like beheads the tiger and they drake on the bear and they kill the Hork-Bajir, and Visser 1 is like, oh, wait, this is too easy. The Visser 3 just staged this whole thing. That was just like he just led a tiger and a bear in so he could like show off to the council that he's a super badass. And now the council's going to be like, oh, he's so cool. He's not incompetent at all. Look how he killed those Andalite bandits. And Visser 1's thinking to herself that her only chance is to contact the real, quote unquote, bandits. Though she doesn't know how she'll do that yet. Which, if you remember the ending of book 35, somehow she's going to do that. She calls Marco on the phone at the end of that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. That's gonna happen, I guess.
Yeah, it's got to happen. It's being continued in Visser.
Oh, well, now I'm even more excited because I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it's exciting. Don't have that much to say about this action sequence. If you wanna.
I mean, I liked it.
Mhm.
I think it's a cool idea, and it did fool me at first. Although, well, at first I thought, because first it just started with the Hork-Bajirs.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, are they Animorphs, or maybe they're the freed Hork-Bajirs that are undercover?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was, even though I believed it at first, I was thinking like, usually the Animorphs are like busting up a meeting at the Burger King of some Yerks. They're not usually like, this is some pretty high stakes shit. How did Eric get this intel?
Yeah.
This is a big deal. So like, there was the hints that this is a little fishy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's funny that he just got a bear from the zoo or from the woods and was just like, yeah, they're usually like this thing and that thing. I'll just cut their heads off. It's pretty good.
The implication is almost that Visser 3 knows more about the animals that the Animorphs morph than he does about humans. Like he got the right bear. He's trying to feed Visser one fucking head of lettuce, but he got the right bear because he cares about that.
Yeah, right. Well, they're his Batman, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Except for the one part where he thinks they're Andalites that he doesn't realize, but otherwise he loves them.
Right. It's like how the Joker thinks that Bruce Wayne is a bat.
Yeah. Maybe that is what it is. You know, Joker doesn't want to know Batman's identity, right? So maybe Visser 3's like, no, they're Andalites and animals. That's all I want to know. That's the fun.
It's been multiple times now that his underlings have been all like, yeah, we suspect they might be humans, but I'm not telling him.
Right.
So you might be on the money with that one.
Of course, as we know, Marco has become the Joker, so it confuses the metaphor a little.
That's true.
This is also, I mean, we're right about to get to it, but this is when Visser 1. Well, first of all, Visser 3. We established that Visser 3 wants all-out war. Like, he's tired of the subterfuge and the hiding. He just wants to eliminate and exterminate humans. Just fucking go at it. Well, not exterminate, but conquer them. Which I'm kind of going, well, so why doesn't he do it? What's stopping him?
Because the council is ordering him not to, and he's loyal.
Okay, sure. All right, I believe that then. Fine.
Yeah, and I think that is part of what this trial. Well, we'll see more in the second half, but that is part of what this trial has been about, right? Is Visser 3 making a case to the council that, like, hey, we're doing this stealth thing because Visser 1 says so, but she's a traitor and a liar and she sucks. You should do my thing, right? And like, watch me kill all these Andalite bandits. See, if we could just fight them, I'd kill them like I killed that tiger. Wouldn't that be awesome? And Visser 1's over here like, no, don't listen to that dumbass. You should do things my way, and I'm a valuable yerk, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right. This whole thing also is just suspicious because it's like, so the bandits that you've been fighting for like over a year, and then why didn't you just kill them like this earlier? It doesn't seem that hard.
Yeah, like they make a point of being like, a lot of the council members are like, yeah, that was awesome, but Garoff in particular is like, yes, very convenient, Visser 3, aren't you the lucky one?
Yeah. But it also, in a way, makes him look more incompetent. Like, I don't know. But this is when also then Visser 1 says, there are 2 humans I won't allow to be killed.
Yes, yeah, she drops a little hint that where you're like, whoa, who are they? I wonder.
Yeah, and that was very. I didn't know. I wrote down, is that Marco and his dad? She loves him.
There is some you could almost read that because there's a bit at the very beginning, like as she's leaving, where she checks in on Marco, and it's very ambiguous whether she does it so that Ava will stop screaming at her or whether she's legitimately doing it, and it's not 100% clear. So, like, I think at that particular point, you could easily read it that way.
Yeah. So, yeah. But we will very quickly find out the truth.
Yes, we will. All right. So, whatever. That they killed the fake Andalites, and they're back to the trial. And at this point, after they Essam and Edris infested Lowenstein and Jenny Lines. There is now a 14-month period where they made no memory dumps and they made no contact with the Yeerk Empire. So just a 14-month blank stretch. Nobody knows what happened here. But rather than let her continue to tell the story, Visser 3 is like, I have a witness. And he calls in his witness, who is a crazy alcoholic homeless man named Spacey.
No relation.
Yeah. So, but we
he comes in and he's like, "Let me be frank." Sorry.
I mean, when he actually comes in, he goes, "They're all real. See, Hork-Bajir, Andalites. I'm not crazy. You wouldn't happen to have a bottle on you, would you?" That's what he actually says. But yeah. So, but we find out that this guy. We find out that Essam is dead, but even though Essam is dead, this guy used to be Essam's host. And Visser 3 starts interrogating this crazy alcoholic guy, and he says a couple of things. He says that even though Essam had infested him, he and Essam considered themselves friends. He says that Edris, Visser 1, used to live in a woman named Allison Kim, and that he and Essam were in love with Edris and Allison Kim, and they married each other. And he thinks that Edris was in love with him too. And the twist is that the two of them, after falling in love and getting married in their human hosts, had 2 children together. They had twins, a boy and a girl. So this is the twist, right? And this is where I cut off the book.
Just to reiterate, because it's there's a lot of names happening here. It could be a little confusing. Just to simplify.
Fair. Yeah, I realized that as I was saying it.
Visser 1 and her assistant, her second in command, fell in love and had babies.
Yes, in their human hosts.
Right. Well, yeah, but not Hork-Bajir babies, human babies.
Right, human babies, and there's some implication that the humans may have at least, because at the very least, Essam and his host considered themselves friends. So there's some implication that they're
maybe they wanted it or something. They were part of this relationship.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
They're poly.
We'll find out what's going on. But yes, at the point is that he claims that the human sympathizer treason by sympathy with humans or whatever claim is true.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's wild stuff. It's
wild
intriguing.
Stuff.
It's a good cliffhanger. It's a good twist.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
I'm waiting to find out more. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I don't know what else to say about it yet. But
yeah, I hope everyone's intrigued, because we'll find out next week.
I do like there was also some good dismissive language about street crazies.
Oh yeah. But it came from Visser 1, and she's evil, so it's okay.
Yes, so that's fine. Well, yeah, I just wish they would really explicitly tell me she's evil, you know?
Okay, that's fair.
Because I've been emulating her behavior in real life, thinking it's what they wanted me to do. And
same.
You know, I've been murdering and taking over druggies and producer and Holocaust victims. Anyway, most of them are dead.
Yeah, so it's okay then.
Maybe they all are. I don't know how many are left. Anyway, that's not for us to decide today.
I don't think that's for us to decide ever. Well, I don't think that's a decision we should be taking into our own hands.
We could, maybe. If there's any left, we could. That's the end of this episode, though. So next week this is just gonna be a 2-parter. So next week we will be finishing Visser.
Yes.
And that's when I'll be able to really give you the fully formed thoughts that you already have, but I don't have yet.
Yeah, it'll be exciting, and I'll get to refresh my thoughts.
Yeah, not your Jenny cattle welders. The good news is, what a refreshing book this is compared to last week's, because very few pop culture references we have to go over.
Yeah, there are some, though. This isn't, the Hork-Bajir Chronicle. Well, I guess that one still had, like, Party of 5, whatever.
Yeah, they always manage to put in a few. I don't think there are any with none.
I think we had, like, a part of a book with none, like one of the thirds of the Andalite Chronicles or something, or one of the thirds of the Hork-Bajir. But
I don't even know if that's true, though, because they, like, Andalite Chronicles, they pick up the humans pretty early.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they slip them in.
Yeah, okay. And I bet, Tobias, when he's going to hear the story from Toby, is probably like, this reminds me of Friends, or whatever the fuck he says.
That's what I said. When he first he's like, they would, I don't know what a Hork-Bajir story is like, but I bet it's not exactly Party of 5.
Right. Well, anyway,
we're
going to go over the ones in the first half of this book. We have, when she first lands on Earth, our first one, the TV. Welcome back to Today. In this half hour, we'll be talking with our panel of military analysts about the latest developments in Operation Desert Storm. That's how we know where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's one I wonder if you picked up on. She says that Earth has X-ray detectors. Now, X-ray is originally it's a copyrighted term. It was named by a scientist.
Professor X?
That's right. That's his ray.
I did not pick up on that. I did not know that that's a
I
copyrighted
think
term.
that's true. Didn't that come up in another book? I thought that's why
Maybe.
I knew
I don't know.
that. Maybe am I wrong?
That would be really funny if you were wrong, especially if I didn't challenge you on it.
I
I
mean,
was just like, oh, if you say it, I believe it.
he didn't. They're not like he did discover them and name it that. Like you could have. I don't know. I guess we're stretching the definition of what's a reference of a.
We
Like
always do that,
at a
though.
certain point, all words are made up.
We don't have a lot this book, so we gotta stretch to fill.
I thought maybe this was like a like a Novocaine thing where it was like a gray area, and it used to be like X-ray machines were like copyrighted maybe by somebody who made them, but maybe that's not true.
I mean, we call them like in physics, we call them X-rays.
Yeah,
But I don't know if that means anything.
Maybe I'm just saying total bullshit.
Listen, I'll just go with whatever you say, and so will the listeners. So feel free to.
Well, this is the
whatever
trick.
You want.
This is how you get engagement in podcasts. Is you say shit that's wrong because nothing will get people to write emails and keep listening like you being wrong.
Right. See, I already knew that, so every single time that you thought I was wrong in the podcast, it was actually on purpose to try to farm engagement.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. She sees on TV a show that has adjustable intensity beam weapons that they call phasers, and there's a ship moving at warp factor 6, so both of these seem to be references to Star Trek.
Yeah, what else could... It's K.A. Applegate. Of course it's Star Trek.
Yep. The producer, Lowenstein, says, upon seeing the Hork-Bajirs, this is way too alien for what I need. I was looking for something more E.T. Okay, a lot of fun. And Jenny says she's better looking than most actresses. I mean, have you really looked at Sarah Jessica Parker?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, kind of a... I guess we're not supposed to like Jenny, maybe, but feels like pitting women against women here. I don't know. I'm not sure that I support this writing. K. Applegate doesn't feel like good feminist writing to me.
I don't know. Here's a question for you, John. Have you really looked at Sarah Jessica Parker? I mean, like, really looked?
No. Sarah Jessica Parker also does sound like a name K. Applegate might make up.
Yeah, I see it.
So, interesting first half of the book. I'm excited to read the rest of it. It isn't quite what I had envisioned, at the beginning of this podcast, even because of that damn cover misleading me, but I'm curious to see where, in some ways it seems like I can see where this is headed. Like we know what it is leading up to Visser 3 and the invasion of Earth and everything, and even with the wrinkle of the kids, we've sort of seen something similar to that with Elfangor. So I'm curious what they do, how different it feels from that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Exciting. Good bullet points to jot down so they can be discussed next time.
That's
right. I'm not going to do that.
We came in practically under time this episode. We did great.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised we kept it so short.
Well, don't worry. Whole other episode next week to discuss the rest of Visser. If you are listening and you have thoughts on Visser, email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. We'll answer any of your questions or comments, or you can tell me what a fucking dumbass I am for not understanding X-rays. And that's also where you can go. We're going to be having our season recap in a couple of weeks. So if you have just thoughts in general about the last set of books, beginning with book 23. Is it 20? Yeah, 23.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Send those in too. I'll give that shout out again next week so that people remember. But we'll be giving some recap thoughts at that point. We also have a Patreon.
Yeah, we also do have a Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys, where we discuss other if we can justify it as being vaguely Animorphs related, we'll cover it. This next week, we're going to be covering a short story that was mentioned in an email one time, All You Zombies, and the movie based on that short story. What is it, Predestination?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, good. I'm glad I got it right.
You got it right.
So tune in there if you'd like.
This reference came from an email from Chandler. I looked it up. I think that's who it's from.
And the guy who is pissed that I keep supposedly spoiling things for you.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I don't know if
Ava's name.
I don't remember if we had another correspondence with Chandler or if he's a Patreon member. But if you're listening, Chandler, this one's for you. So you better sign up.
Yeah. And I think there's a chance he stopped listening and never heard it.
Yeah.
This is for no one, but so be it.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, it's fine. It's a time travel story, but other than that, we'll talk about it on the Patreon about how it's related. If you want to follow me online, I'm on Blue Sky. We're both on Blue Sky, which thanks to a listener, which I think it's now public. Blue Sky.
Oh yeah, that's
it's now
true.
Open to the public. So if you were not a privileged member, now you can follow us there. Everybody can and hear our thoughts and read our thoughts. I'm at Jonathan Estes there. And hey, if you liked hearing about Visser 1 on trial.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Imagine hearing about Geeks on Trial. That's my other podcast that I have. It's called Geeks on Trial, and we judge geeky disputes amongst folks. And it's a whole lot of fun if you like geeky media. So go check that out on your podcast platform of choice.
I'm not in that one, so if you don't like me, that's the perfect place to go.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm also technically on Blue Sky, though I haven't really been looking at it. At Dog Times McGee. Maybe I will go back now that it's public.
You really like Elon, so that's sort of been your thing. You don't want to
right.
You don't want to be disloyal to him.
You know how it is. I'm a stan. What can I say?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll finish talking about Visser, in which a person is infested with a yerk on the Yerky Boys. What do you want from me?